When I was growing up, one of my favorite programs to watch was The Muppet Show. You don't know how much I loved that program. Every episode used to be a great one, it used to brighten my face. I was always happy. And then there was Sesame Street. Interesting, isn't it? Now, I'm talking about this because we have a guest today who's been there, done that. She was one of the people that brought us the Muppets at some point. But she's gonna tell us about that. Now, this is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Morore. Now Tell Us, we have guests come and tell us stories. They come and inspire us. They come and educate us on a subject that they are passionate about. And always, we have a great time. Today, our guest is known as Lisa Buckley, and she's going to tell us about puppetry as a healing tool. As we go to meet her, I would like to remind you to please share this video with all your friends, or if you're listening to the audio version, please share it with all your friends. If you have a question, please ask. If you have a comment, we love feedback. Bring it on. And now, let's go in for a bit of laughter and a bit of inspiration into the puppetry world. Join me as we go and meet Lisa Buckley. Here we go. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Anthony. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm fantastic.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming to Now Tell Us. We appreciate your time with
Oh,
us
thank
here.
you. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, where are you in the world?
I am on the east coast of the US in Connecticut.
Mm, that's beautiful.
It
Uh,
is, yes. Though now we've had some horrible rain. It hasn't stopped raining and we're having flooding, so it's a bit crazy right now. But yes,
oh,
it's very beautiful.
and it's good
Yeah.
that you're safe. You're safe, and we are able to share this episode with our friends all over the world. We wish you safety
Absolutely.
and health.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yes.
much. Thank you.
Connecticut. You remind me of those instances in the puppetry where the puppets are trying to pronounce some difficult words like Connecticut.
Like Connecticut. Yes,
Connecticut.
that's a tough one. Yeah. It's up there with
Yes.
Massachusetts.
Mhm.
Yes.
Now, I mentioned as we are getting started that you've been in those episodes, those shows. Can you please tell us about it? We will be glad to know how you came into
Oh,
contact with them. They are doing
oh,
there. Mhm.
on Sesame Street, I worked on it a long, long time ago. Um, it, it was an amazing experience. I mean, those are the best puppeteers in the world, so it was amazing. I was very fortunate to to work on that and a little bit on with Muppets. I mean, they would come in and do a little bit of programming for the Muppets, and I was very fortunate to work on a couple little things. So yeah, yeah, very very cool. Like that's the top of the puppetry world. Muppet Sesame Street. So I was very fortunate. Yes.
Yeah, and that's like a long, long time. Yeah, that's what you say. That's how you
Yes.
put. How long back
Yes.
was that? How long?
Oh
And
gosh.
in other words, I'm trying to go into the direction to know when did you get started in puppetry?
Oh, well, getting started growing up there in the 70s, there wasn't a lot of um, role models for women. So growing up, I used to watch like Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey. I thought they were just so amazing. So I thought, oh, I'm going to become an animal scientist, a zoologist. So I would read every animal book. I studied every animal. I was just, that's it. I'm going to be like Jane Goodall. So when I
Mm-hmm.
got to college, I took science classes and I realized I don't like science. I'm not very good at it. It's not very interesting. I'd rather have my animals talk and drive cars and have clothes and have a life. And
Mm-hmm.
lucky for me, at my college there was a puppetry class, and it was for it was 6 credits for a semester, which is that's a lot of credits. So I was like, oh, that sounds easy. I'll just take that. Well, it was so much fun. It was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. It was silly. And I like silly. Silly is, very important to me. So I just was like, that's it. Now I'm going to become a puppeteer. So
Mm-hmm.
I quit school and I started becoming a puppeteer. And I've been very fortunate in my career that I've just had this path of being extremely lucky. And I auditioned for Sesame Street at a time when they needed more women puppeteers. And I got to do that, and then a little bit of Muppets, and then some other things. So yeah, it's a crazy, crazy life, crazy work
Mm-hmm.
path being a puppeteer, but it's phenomenal.
I can imagine that. Now, that was the time as I was growing up in those early times. I imagine that those people who are singing were actually inside my radio. That's or inside my father's radio.
Isn't
And
that
when I
funny?
saw people on TV, I imagine that those people are actually in that box. Now we come to puppetry and we see puppets talking. I imagine those are actually things or animals or whatever it is that are talking. So
Yes. They
yeah,
become real. It's
they
amazing.
become.
You suspend disbelief. You just think, oh, even if you see the puppeteer, there's something magical about puppets, and you totally believe that they're real. And you can do that as a child and adults. I've seen adults have a full-on conversation with a puppet, and be very serious, looking the puppet in the eyes and just talking to the puppet. So puppets have that ability to just make people believe, which is very powerful.
Remind us that word whereby you are the one speaking and you have your puppet. What was that word? It's escaping. Like
Oh,
you talk.
the puppet, the puppeteer. Is that what you mean?
Not really. It's
Oh,
escaping me.
ventriloquist.
The art of
A
yeah,
ventriloquist.
yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it.
Oh, yes, that's a whole different. That's an amazing talent. I
Mm,
can't do that. I have to. When my puppet talks, you're going to see my mouth move. I can't, throw my voice. So those people are incredible,
mm-hmm,
incredible.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, such a
So
gift.
you
Yeah.
in the puppetry that you have been doing over the years, it do you I mean you act and then there is a sound coming from somewhere else, I guess. Like from
Yes.
playing a, playing a cassette when those were in in the world, now playing a CD or playing whatever it is that you're playing, and then you're acting with your hand, maybe strings, I don't know.
Yes, I actually there's so many different kinds of puppetry. There's the marionettes, which is the strings. I can't do that one either. And
Mhm,
then you have sock puppets. You have shadow puppets. You have rod puppets. You have big mouth live hand puppets, which would be like well, Alf was that type. If you know who Alf was, Alf was a big mouth live hand. It takes 2 people to operate. But
mhm.
usually the kind of puppets I have on here that I do is just a simple um, stick and rod puppet. And
Okay.
when he talks, you're gonna see my mouth move. But hey, Anthony, how are you? How you
Yeah,
doing? I
hi.
see you right there. Hey, what's
Yes.
happening? I'm so happy to be here. I really am.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. Yeah, I'm happy to see you here too.
Oh,
What's the
thank
name of
you.
that one? What's your name?
Uh, Funny enough, my name is Anthony.
That's
Go
interesting.
figure. That was my
Yeah,
mother's name. No, that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. My mother's name was Anthony, so she named me Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. 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 Now, tell us, apart from entertainment, there are a lot of things that may have driven you, or maybe you grew into as you started to discover that there is much more to it than just making the children happy. Sometimes even the
Yes.
older people happy. Tell us about that
Oh,
journey.
yes. So,
Mm.
as I was saying, I was very fortunate working on television shows and theater. And then
Mm.
about 16 or so years ago, I got into humanitarian aid work and using puppetry as a tool to help people affected by trauma, um, natural disasters. And I work with a lovely organization called No Strings International. And we traveled the world and worked in areas that people are affected by crisis. And we used puppetry as a healing tool to help them express themselves, to give very important messaging. So puppetry became more art therapy, and it's a healing tool to help people navigate back to themselves. So that's been an incredible journey. So like some of the subject matter would be WASH, which is water, sanitation, and hygiene. People affected by earthquakes, floods, fires, people affected by war, people with malaria, HIV, AIDS. So all of these subject matter that's difficult to talk about, using
Mm-hmm.
puppetry makes it a lot simpler, and it helps adults and children. So I train people how to use puppets and how to educate children and adults on things that are tough to talk about. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
been very exciting for me and very important. And I get to travel around the whole world, going to places that are beautiful, but yet, have a lot going on. So,
Who could have imagined that a small Anthony on the hand can move someone around the world?
oh my gosh, you would be so surprised. And sometimes you think, okay, so adults, especially, especially men, because sometimes it's difficult for them to express themselves, and to see
Mm.
them after learning how to do puppets and working with puppets, they're cradling a puppet like Anthony, they'll talk to it, and they're taking good care of it, and you can't get them to take it off their hand. You're just like, okay, it's time for you to go home now. And they're like, no, 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 I want to stay a little longer. So it's just so amazing the connection that puppets have to people. And puppets can help people express themselves because they're simple, they're silly, they're visually pleasing. That's very
Mm.
true, Anthony. I'm
Yeah.
visually pleasing.
Yeah. So one would, and I think it's good, it's important when the people are going through whatever it is that they are going through to have something that distracts their focus at that particular time,
Yes.
and and
Yes,
and tries to trigger their happy bone using whatever means that you can,
that's very
because
true.
yeah, because the world goes on. Whatever it is that has happened, the world goes on, and it's good to try to bring the person back to earth, because some have traveled very far with their minds. They've given up on hope.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
And even not only performing puppets, but making puppets is very therapeutic because you're sitting and you're talking and you're sharing ideas and you're together in a community. So it's very social, and that can be very, very healing. So, another thing about puppets is they can express the unseen. So they can talk about, you can talk about emotions.
Hmm.
And like this one is sad, so you can talk about, okay, what makes you sad, and where in your body do you feel sadness? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your stomach? And if you're sad, what can you do to make yourself feel happy? And
Hmm.
the same thing with happy. What are the things that make you happy? So while you're making these puppets, you're discussing things that can be difficult to express, and like difficult subject matter. You're gonna love this one. You want to talk about, I mean, Anthony, how do you talk about open defecation and disease transference in a culturally sensitive, appropriate way? How would you do that? Well,
You-
I'll tell you.
okay,
With a
go
Mr.
ahead.
Poop puppet. Hello, Anthony. I'm Mr. Poop. I love talking poop. How are you today?
Mhm. I'm good. I'm good.
So you have this ridiculous Mr. Poop puppet, and he's
Uh-huh.
silly and fun, but he's also talking about important messaging with disease transference and hand washing. And then you want to talk about germs, and germs are unseen, but you can have a cholera germ. I love cholera. I'm sorry, but I do, Anthony. I just love cholera. So you're talking about all these wash characters, and while you're making them, and everyone's looking down at their puppet that they're making, which makes everybody feel at ease. And you're talking about, okay, so let's talk about open defecation, and you're having a conversation with people that you don't know, and you're talking about pooping, but you're learning so much, and
Yeah.
you're able to build strategies on how to effectively change behavior. It's all about behavior change in a fun way that people remember, and it's a very culturally sensitive way to get this messaging across without being like, okay, that's disgusting, we can't talk about it. Well, actually, we have to talk about it because children are getting sick, and it's unhealthy. So it just
Mm,
makes it silly and fun, but it's very important and rewarding at the same time. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is interesting, and we thank you for that, for bringing fun into the world, making someone smile who's sad, reminding them that yes, there is a time for laughter, even despite the
Yes,
challenges that someone may be going through.
exactly. And I'm very fortunate because I get to travel a lot, and I get to see uh, how beautiful the world really is, and how it's really filled with beautiful, caring people. Yes, there's a lot going on, and it's crazy right now, but there's
Yeah,
still really good people out there, and
sure.
I
I
get to
was
witness
going
that.
to ask
So,
you, moving around the world, which has been your most interesting place to visit in the world?
let's see. I think um, I'm very partial to going to Africa. I find it, for me, it's just one of the most beautiful places in the world, and I just
Hmm.
feel just so happy to go there. So that to me is one of my favorite places. And it's funny going to, like, I went to Iraq, and I did this workshop there, and it's funny to see, like I said, like grown men who come in and they're very stern, and you think, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna crack their hearts open. It's just I mean, they're like 7 feet tall ex-army guys, and I'm gonna
Hmm.
teach them puppetry. What am I, out of my mind? But at the end of the week, they become kids again, and they're singing and they're laughing, and it's just so wonderful that this little crazy puppet just cracks their hearts open, and allows them to express themselves. They didn't think it was possible, and they become kids and humans and again. So it's always a pleasure. There's just so many good people out there, so I'm very fortunate. So
Yes, and going around there, around the world, you've come through some things, and as you talk about being going on a humanitarians encounters, or maybe what we call it, yeah, you're going to help people who are in a disaster area, and you meet with people. What has been one of your most emotional times that you've been engaged as going to teach people, and you find yourself just overwhelmed at the situation that they are in?
I think it was in Sierra Leone. It was during Ebola, maybe a little bit after, and
Hmm.
we were training a group of educators and volunteers that they were going to use puppets to try to get the population to know the importance of hand washing, and to teach them more about prevention of Ebola. And they had a story, and they did it simply with a shadow puppet show that I'll show you after, and how the story was that it was in a village, and a mother had a bull and she passed away, and so the child, they were very worried that the child was contagious, so they took this child and they tied the child to a tree, and they would use like a rake, and they would push food to the child, and so that's how the child ate, but they stayed back. And she told the story through shadow puppetry, and we were all crying because it was just so heartbreaking. And the
Mm-hmm.
way she told the story, it was just amazing. So that was like, oh my goodness, that was, wow, unbelievable, just heart-wrenching story of what was going on. um, so yeah, a lot of that, a lot of people using puppets to break through. And a little girl she was in Syria, and she was in a refugee camp in Jordan, and she was at a child-friendly space, and they were, some clinical professionals were working with her, and they were using puppets because we had trained them, and they were using the puppets. Nothing. She wasn't speaking. She was completely traumatized because she had witnessed her family member being killed. And so her session ended, and they were, saying, okay, come back tomorrow. And as she was leaving, she grabbed the puppet, this kind of a puppet, and she put it in front of her face, and she told the story of seeing her family member getting shot. So she took the puppet and went like this, and she told the story, and she had never let it out before. She had never talked about it. And so that was like a
Mm-hmm.
breakthrough. And that was just like, oh my gosh, again, like, wow. First of all, no child should be in that position. But second of all, the power of puppetry to help her as a tool to help her express herself was just, oh my gosh, wow. So a lot of stories like that. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
stories like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I believe we as listeners can imagine the kind of emotions that go on you go through on a roller coaster of emotions as you meet with those people. Some are happy, some
Yes.
are just downright
Yes.
sad, and some.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. I'm always amazed at the capacity of humans to love and to care, because a lot of the people we work with, they're, in refugee camps themselves, or they've lost their family, but they're like, no, I need to help my community and to help my family, especially, and they're very young. A lot of them are very, very young. So I'm more of a witness to the greater good of humanity during these very tough times where it's the bad part of humanity, but there's still that beauty and love that's just still there. It's still there. We're
Mm.
still
What?
good.
Yeah, we are still good. And what was the good message during or maybe after COVID? Because I believe you were still around there and doing things with your puppets. What was the good
Yes.
message?
I think it's just never give up. Never,
Uh,
ever, ever give up. I
mm-hmm.
think that's what it was for me. It was because COVID it was awful because everyone was locked down, but during COVID, I became more prolific in making more puppets. So I said, okay, if I can't go out, let's make more puppets. I'll just continue. So I think it's just don't give up. Just please don't give up, everybody. I think that's my message. So
Oh, yeah. That's a good message. So when a lockdown finds you, don't go down in sadness, don't give up on hope.
yeah,
Keep
I know it's hard.
start
Yeah.
making puppets.
Start making puppets.
Start
Yes.
making puppets.
Yes, puppets. They'll save the world.
So puppets will save the world. Yeah.
Yay. Puppets will save the world. Yes.
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 It's beautiful.
I'm a believer.
Now you've
Yeah.
traveled much, but you also reach people who are on the other side of the earth, being where you are. There are some trainings or some maybe lessons or whatever it is that you share with people from wherever you are. Maybe with Zoom, you have some courses or things like that you share with the world from where you are.
Well, actually, now I'm working with Your Direct Path, and you interviewed Jess Prue. It was last week, and
Mm-hmm.
we're doing mindfulness puppetry and play trainings. And I'm the puppetry part. So we're putting together an online training and also in-person training on how to blend mindfulness, puppetry, and play to help people, mainly kids, who have been traumatized, who have, the COVID was very difficult for a lot of people, especially children, and we're still
Mhm.
feeling the effects of it. Me, myself, I'm not unscathed by it. So we're putting together a training. So it's more of a teacher training of trainers. So yeah, and that's on yourdirectpath.com at play. And we're using puppetry, how to build puppets, simple puppets, and how to use them, how to have your puppet do breath work. 'Cause they're perfect for this because they can be, okay, Anthony, I want you to breathe. Ready? Breathe through your mouth.
Sure, sure.
You're gonna feel better. Trust
Yes,
me.
yes. I'm feeling different already.
Yeah, yeah, and it's good with puppets because I think because adults are here, kids are here, and then puppets are here. They're smaller than children, so children like to help the puppet. It's like a universal thing. Kids like to help, just like you see big brothers and sisters help their younger brothers and sisters. So children seem to like to help the puppet, so they help the puppet learn how to meditate and how to breathe. So that's a very beautiful thing too. So yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's see where we can point out the website that you mentioned. That's no, we posted your website.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, Senpa, yes. Thank you.
Yes. So
Yes.
where people can connect with you and maybe get to know much more about what it is that you do. That's why I guess they can go to satvarcreativearts.com.
Yes. And that's also my Instagram is at Senpa Creative Arts. So that's good too. And
Okay.
also yourdirectpath.com is the mindfulness puppetry part. So yeah, please, yes.
Okay. That's what I actually wanted to share because you mentioned it, but it's here shortly for those who are listening who would like to know the uh, one that Lisa mentioned. That's your direct path.
Yes.com. Yes.
Yourdirectpath.com forward
At play.
slash add hyphen play.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where you find the rest of the story. And now we are happy that you've been here with us. We're almost coming to the end of this show.
Oh,
And
okay. Oh, already? Huh.
yeah, already time is gone. We've laughed and we forgot that time is flying.
Yes.
Yes. So, what would you like to share with us before we go?
I
Something
well,
that you feel that yes, we can't forget these last few minutes.
oh, well, actually, one thing that I'm working on is a program for menstrual health management with puppetry. Hello,
Oh,
everyone. Just remember, it's biology. So that's something that's very close to my heart is helping women, girls, and people who menstruate, feel more confident and to train, get them educated on menstrual hygiene health. Yes, so there's all kinds of puppets with that. All of our puppets are made out of cardboard and paper, very very simple. So yeah, that's something that's I'm working on now. So yeah,
do you also get to sell the puppets, or you just teach people and they go and make their own?
I get to see them all. Yeah,
Sell.
but I
I mean,
do.
you
Oh,
sell them? Do
sell.
you sell? Yeah,
Oh no,
sell.
I don't sell. No, I
Okay.
help people make them. I show them how to make them, and they're simple. Like all
Yeah.
found object. Like this one's made out of a paintbrush.
Okay.
It's like paper mache, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's shadow puppets. So that's very simple. I believe in very simple puppets. Just a water bottle with eyes and a face is clean clean drinking water.
Yeah. Simple. Simple.
Simple, yes. Simple,
Simple
simple.
and
Found
easy to make.
objects. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, so it's been an honor having you here and you
Oh,
sharing
thank you.
with us the
Thank you
story
so
of
much.
puppetry as a healing tool.
Yes.
We
Yes. Make
appreciate.
a puppet. Make a
Yeah,
puppet
good.
today.
So let's send the message to all the people who are listening or watching.
Yes.
Make a
Yes. Make
puppet
a
today.
puppet.
Use,
Make a
yeah,
puppet
make a
today.
puppet.
Yes.
So those could be the
Please.
parting words that you are leaving us with. Make a puppet, or what more would you
Yeah.
like us to hear? Something that you would like us to always remember. Make a puppet and
Make a puppet and never give up. Never give up. Never give up. And
never
take
give.
good care of yourself because everyone is precious and necessary. Self care, make a puppet, never give up.
That's a good message. Yes,
Yeah,
and
I think so.
we really appreciate. Yeah, so this is about it for now, and it's been a wonderful time with you here.
I agree. Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate your time. To you who's listening or watching, even if you get to watch or listen to this after we are through with this episode, we thank you for taking your time to and watching it or listening to it up to this point. Thank you very much. Being reminded by Lisa to go and make a puppet. This has
Go make a puppet.
this has been Now Tell Us, and I have been your host, Anthony Morore. And together with our guest Lisa Buckley, we are saying, oh, and Anthony on the hand.
And
We're
Anthony.
saying,
Yes, thank you.
we're saying bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.